Hey everybody, let me tell you about this piece. This piece is called Dealin With The Bolter, and it comes from a book called Vaqueros and Buckaroos. There's no guy, and he used to show up at the horse shows when we would go to shows and that, and his name was Arnold Rojas. He was called him Chief Rojas. And he was an old vaquero with the Miller and Lux Ranch, which ran from Baja California all the way up to British Columbia. It's a huge place over in Nevada and that. And this guy, he was a buckaroo there and a vaquero. And he wrote down all his recollections of this time he spent on these ranches and that there in California. And so this all comes from that, and it all comes out of, it's inspired by so many things that he says in that book. Now this is an old buckaroo, an old vaquero, California, 1923. All the gear that you see here comes from the Visalia catalog. It's very California, 1923, okay? So when you look at this old horse here, he's got a hackamore on him. Now that hackamore is a posal, headstall. This little rope here is called a Theodore rope. Kind of holds that heel nut on the posal properly. This rope here is called a cardi rope, and it's braided horsehair in real life. You use it in hackamores, you use it on snaffle bits. So you know this is a youngster. This is a 3-4-year-old, something like that. This saddle, those taps, it's a 24-inch Eagle Bill tap. They're all fully carved. It has a real fancy carving on there. Now that's one of Garcia's, again, G.S. Garcia. This is part of their Visalia saddles, and then they sold G.S. Garcia as well. And this is their bronc spur. It's a straight shank bronc spur because he's riding a youngster. And so this is all one of the spurs that they used at that period. Got a big old 60-foot Rayetta there. And these old guys, they're handy with a rope, you know. What would happen is they bring these cattle down and off the hills and work them, you know, in redeers up there. So they're working these big old steers and that. And there's always one or two or more sometimes that are just trying to get back to those hills. And one of the ways that you dealt with them, and they did it over and over, and they called them bolters. That was the name of them. And so it was just sort of a name they gave them. And what they would do is they'd rope these old son of a guns. You can see he's got this old steer roped, you know, and then they kick that old tail of rope around here, come around his hip. And he's fixing to go to the horn there and dally. And this old horse, you can see as we come around the piece, he's starting to take off there to your left. And this old steer's kind of coming this way, and this guy's watching everything that's going on. And he's going to go right to the horn here and trip that old steer and knock him down. And what it would do is knock the wind out of that steer, and that son of a gun would get up, and they'd take the rope off and joust him back into the herd, and he wouldn't try that little trick again. So that's what this old vaquero is doing. You can see his well rag here, you know, and see this old horse's ears? He's listening back because he knows what's going on. He's listening to his rider here. So he's got his ears back. He's peeled along this way, and this old guy, he's reached out this direction, his old tap, you know, back over here. His old cardi rope all tied up here onto his saddle. These were the coolest old rigs. They're kind of high golded saddles. But slick forks, really neat. And this old horse is just peeling along. And I tried to change it because so much of the action in cavalry art is horizontal. And I wanted to give you a sense of that vertical where he's in kind of the jackpot, you know. So this old horse, he's got lots of mass and crud here, kind of flying around some brush and that. Steer's taking off this way. And this old horse, he knows his business, and he's just taking care of it. So he's kind of coming off here. These leggings are a shotgun legging that Garcia built as well. So all of the gear here is very California. And I like to use specific saddle makers and gear makers because it gives that sense of authenticity instead of, there's no such thing as generic stuff. There's a sense of history to all of it. You want to be able to present that. So this old buckaroo here, this old vaquero, he's dealing with this bolter, and it makes for a real action-y, neat story. Hey, thanks for letting me tell you about it.